return specialist, running back, and main man of fantasy football right now. How's everything going?
Looking forward to another great season out here on the East Coast, and it's looking good so far. The team is healthy.
You raised over $80,000 through fantasy football. What inspired you to do this? Have you always been into this?
I saw it as an opportunity to bring community together, and so that's when I started the newest kind of endeavor that I have. It's called Charity Draft.
What was your welcome to the NFL moment?
I learned really quickly, like, okay, you don't try to go sideways, you got to go vertical, north, south, get as much as you can and get down or protect yourself.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome. Austin, great to see you, man. Over there in Washington, return specialist, running back, and main man of fantasy football right now. How's everything going?
It's going well. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, we're looking forward to another great season out here on the East Coast, and it's looking good so far. The team is healthy. At the time we're filming this, just finished up mini camp, and we're looking forward to this off season, but then hitting the ground running when it comes back to August.
You raised over $80,000 through fantasy football. What inspired you to do this? Have you always been into this?
Yeah, so I've been getting more into fantasy football in my earlier stage of my career, when I was, winning leagues for people back when I was with the Chargers, and I saw it as an opportunity to bring community together. And so that's when I started the newest kind of endeavor that I have. It's called Charity Draft. And basically what it is we have players that will donate different prizes, game jerseys, game tickets, tickets to their golf events and stuff like that. And you can win them in these fantasy leagues. So it's a pretty cool way for you to join and win some cool prizes. And also all the funds that are raised will go to the charity of their choice. So it's a great project.
Do you think it's helped create community as well? Because sometimes athletes at the highest level, it's not like the old days, right? Sometimes there's a disconnect with fans, but do you think it helps bring people together?
Yeah, absolutely. Fantasy football is one of those things that, for instance, my wife, who never watched football before she met me, she has a fantasy league with my family. They have like a little yearly fantasy league. And so that's brought her into the new world of fantasy sports and football. And it's brought her closer to my family because now they have something they can relate on. Not only that, but it also helps her learn other players around the league. So I definitely think it helps bring the outside fan base closer to us as players. And as players, we hear about it all the time as far as if we did well or if we didn't. So regardless, it definitely is bringing people closer to the game.
You're teaming up with over 20 athletes this time. So what does the expansion mean to you and the communities you're trying to help?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the first year that we're expanding charitydraft.com, from just myself to other athletes, because we've seen success with my signed jerseys. I used to give game tickets. Actually, one of my tiers, I used to fly people out to the game. This year, I'm just giving, I think it's week 16 tickets to Eagles Commanders. So division rival would be a great one if you win that one. But I saw a lot of just buy-in from the community on this, and they really loved these prizes, and they were already going to be playing fantasy football. So this gave them another reason to kind of play for a different type of reason, a different cause. And so I was like, let me do this for other players, because for us as players, we have so much going on and we want to take advantage of the time, but we don't necessarily have the time to do that. So what Charity Draft does is basically sets it up, runs it for those players. We have guys like, Geno Smith, quarterback for the Raiders. We have, a few people from my team, Marcus Mariota, our center, Tyler. We actually have Ray Lewis and Brian Dawkins too, some old legends that are having some leagues. So what it does is gives an opportunity for fans to root for those people, still continue to support those people, and also get an interaction with them during the season that they wouldn't have gotten anywhere else.
Awesome. Do you get banter or trash talk from fans who either drafted you or didn't draft you when you have a really good week or a bad week?
It's part of the gig as a skill player in the NFL. It's a blessing and a curse. I say that because it's a blessing because someone has me on their team, so they've trusted me to score points for them. But it's a curse because sports are competitive, and sometimes you don't have the best game because the people on defense get paid too. So sometimes they get the better of you, and when that happens, typically, yeah, there's a lot of fans in the DMs, encouraging me to have a better game on the one coming up. So it's a love-hate relationship.
And can you share any stories about the impact the funds have had that you've raised? I mean, that must be a good feeling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So with charity.com, as you mentioned at the very beginning, we've raised right around $80,000, and those funds have gone to my foundation, and my foundation renovates weight rooms. We put tangible resources back into the community, usually at the high school youth level, whether that's football equipment, whether that's washers and dryers, really just underserved communities that have needed to upgrade for a long time, but for whatever reason haven't had the funds. And so we'll step in and find projects, or people will reach out to us with projects that they'd love to have done in their community through my website at Austin Ekeler Foundation. And so if they reach out to us, we go through different projects and we'll go implement some of those that we can, depending on how many funds that we have.
So what influenced you with the move to the Commanders and how's it going? How are you fitting in with Jayden Daniels' new offense?
Yeah, actually, my running back coach currently was my head coach for my first 4 years of my career. So I attribute a lot of my success early on to Anthony Lynn, who's now my running back coach. And I understood his philosophies, I understood what he was about. And so I really felt comfortable coming into the Commanders organization with him as my coach. Kind of knowing what to expect, he knew what to expect from me. And then, we bring in Jayden. You really never know what you're going to get with rookies. You have high expectations. And now this is for me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being on the team because now I've been with two rookies of the year when we've drafted quarterbacks. First with Justin Herbert and now with Jayden Daniels. And so it's been a blessing for me with quarterbacks, and then also bringing Dan Quinn into that mix as well, and how he coaches culture and really iterates on brotherhood and chemistry has been a really cool mesh for our team to come together.
How do you approach it with such a talented young QB like that in terms of helping to mentor him? Like how do you kind of impart the wisdom with all the experience that you've got?
Yeah, it comes in little bits and pieces when needed. You kind of feel out, okay, what's this guy's personality? Kind of what does he seem to, kind of gravitate towards as far as plays, as far as, who he likes to talk to in the room. Because there's 90 of us. There's a lot of guys. So not everyone can give everyone tips because not everyone really meshes like that. Like you got to make sure that you're actually, in that type of position where you have the respect from one another that you can actually give those tips. And so for me and Jayden, with him, it's a lot of the times we're talking about right strategy. We're talking about the running back things, and for us, it's pretty simple. We're in the backfield. We're right next to each other, so we can talk all the time on the field. So there's not really a lot of disconnect in what he's expecting from us as running backs. And then just being a good teammate is another one. Leading by example as a guy that's been playing in the year for 9 years now, kind of showing how I'm a pro, and it's not only for him but all the other young guys as well.
What are some of the most exciting talents that you're enjoying playing with right now? I mean, just playing with elite players you played with all your career, but who's bringing out the best of you right now?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of some of our players. Jayden being one, I think he's really brought a lot of energy to the team, to the city. This NFL thing is definitely quarterback driven when it comes to the offense. You can tell by the way that these guys get paid that it's a very important position, and if you have a good one, it makes it a lot more interesting on Sundays. And so we have support around him though, because he's a quarterback, he's important, but he also needs supporting cast to bring out the most in his production as well. And so Terry McLaurin is another one that's fun to play around, big play type guy. We got some great guys on special teams as well. I started on special teams, so I have a certain soft spot in my heart for guys that are making plays on special teams, like Tyler Owens for us, and we just actually re-signed Revo. And so we got a few guys that are making plays all over the place, which helps with the energy of the team.
What was the biggest shock from the draft for you? What was the most intriguing move as well?
Oh, and just in general,
Yeah.
biggest shock. It's been interesting seeing how the quarterback situation for the Browns is playing out right now. And there was a lot of anticipation with Shadur Sanders and where he was going to go. And so I think that was probably the biggest story of the entire day. They kept talking about him, the entire time I was watching him or watching the draft. And so it's going to be interesting to see, because you have Dylan Gabriel in the room. You have obviously Joe Flacco right now, who seems like he's kind of the lead dog right now. But that was definitely the story that surprised me in the draft.
So for you, how did the move come about to Washington? What were the emotions like? Why was it time for a move for you?
Yeah, so I just finished, my contract with the Chargers. I had a 4-year deal there, finished all 4 years, had an amazing time with them, was very blessed to be in that organization for 7 years. And I think it was just time for a change for both of us. They were going in a new direction with coaching staff, who was wanting to have a different type of backfield. I was, moving into a new spot in my career where, hey, maybe I'm not that lead guy. Maybe I go back to a position where I kind of was started out my first 3 years, kind of splitting, kind of like a running back by committee type of environment. And that's what really led me back to Washington, being around Coach Lynn again, as I mentioned. But really comes down to timing and what's the opportunity in that timing. There's a lot of teams out there, 32, that they're all going to need running backs, but there's a lot of philosophies that are different. There's a lot of current guys that are under contract, and so there was the best opportunity for me to make the biggest impact with Washington and the coaching staff.
Do you see yourself staying in Washington, or we'll see you somewhere else before it's all said and done? Do you have any goals, in
Yeah,
terms of your
absolutely.
career?
I have 2 years. So I'm in my second of my 2-year deal out here. So looking forward to putting our best foot forward this year, making another run. We got a little bit of unfinished business. We came up 1 game short last year, or I guess 2 games. We got to win those last two. And then from then I can't really see right now because it's 1 year at a time. Once you get to year 9, I feel like you got to reevaluate your mental and your body health after every single season. Typically, contracts tend to get shorter in the back end of the career because there's a lot of uncertainty from the team and your age and things like that, which I get. But it comes down to, am I mentally ready to go another season? Do I want to go another season? I'm married now, and so there's other factors that start to play into it. Charity draft, if it starts taking off. Am I ready to make a transition? Because we're going to be doing leagues for, basketball, baseball, hockey, things like that as well. So as I get older, it's just a little bit more evaluation at the end of the year, and we'll decide if we want to go again.
Awesome. And yeah, as you say, there are 90 other guys. You're playing at the highest level. Everybody wants your spot. How do you deal with the highs, the lows, and the just ultra competitive nature of the sport?
Yeah, I think it's a marathon, unfortunately, but also it's a race at the same time because in the short term, looking at like my rookie year, like it is a sprint to get as much film and as much trust built into the coaches as possible. But when I say it's a marathon, what I mean is you're going to continue as your career gets longer, if you're fortunate to have that, where you pick up a lot of ways to be more efficient, to be a pro, and that's going to continue to help you make it easier for yourself to be effective. And so for me in year 9, maybe I'm not as fast as I used to be, but I'm a lot smarter. I understand the game a lot more, so it allows me to still be effective. So that's kind of the marathon portion of it. But in the beginning, you're just trying to gobble up as much information as you possibly can and retain it. And so, at this point in my career, yeah, I'm not maybe as explosive as I was when I was 21 when I got in the league. I'm 30 now. And but the thing is, my understanding, I process so quick. And so that trust with the coaches of like, oh, Austin's going to be in the right spot, right time, can still make plays, is what keeps me coming back and what keeps me competitive.
How do you feel about Terry McLaurin's decision to skip minicamp after his contract dispute?
Yeah, there's a business side of this. I think DQ said it best. It's like, hey, Adam Peters, that's our GM, that's his job. They care the business side. He's on the team side when he decides to get that deal done, which I'm sure they'll get something done. Then we'll welcome him back. Like I went through the same thing with the Chargers when I was looking for an extension. Yeah, I came off my second career high in all-purpose yards, 1,600 yards, 20 touchdowns, and was looking for a new contract. And so, you're gonna have to run into the business side at some point. And when you have leverage like Terry does right now, hey, just came off of an amazing season, right? Just helps us have a great playoff push and actually, make a deep run. And then also him having one of just his most explosive seasons, time to strike, right? Like the fire's hot, the emotions are high, like the buzz around Terry is what it should be. It's high. So hey, try to capitalize while you can.
How does that affect the team when a key veteran holds out like that? How do the guys respond? I mean, the dressing room's very important, right?
Yeah, absolutely. For us, we want to see our guys get paid. So, for us, we love it because we want to see money flowing. And if you're fortunate to play not long enough, it's only a matter of time before you're going to be at that position too. And we understand that, especially our room, our dressing room, our locker room. We have a lot of older guys that have been through a few contracts, so it's a lot of support and a lot of understanding of the business side has to be taken care of for you to actually continue to come and compete with this team because we're out here playing, and if you're bringing a lot of value to a team, you should be compensated as such.
You've been through ups and downs, man. I mean, two concussions in 2024. What was that like? How scary was that?
Yeah, one of the unfortunate parts of sports is the injuries, and especially when it's to your head, not very fun. Actually, really scary because if I break my arm, 6 weeks, sure, I have a scar on my arm, but it's my arm. But my brain is a little bit different because it's got to run this body for the next, hopefully, a long time. And so it's definitely something that when that injury happens, you got to make sure that you get as much information as you possibly can to make the most educated decision that you can possibly make. And all circumstances are different. Mine, didn't happen to be as severe, even though I did have two. So I was fortunate enough to make a full recovery and feel really confident about coming back and participating in the end of the season in the playoffs. So feeling healthy right now, like I said, every concussion is different. If it happens again, it'll be the same process, get as much information as I can, diagnose the situation, and then make a decision based off of that.
We mentioned the draft in 2017. How did going undrafted affect your mindset? Did that help you go on to achieve everything you've achieved?
I think the undrafted, I think path was kind of laid out for me, but almost kind of the story of my life before then as well. I went to a small Division II school. So I wasn't highly recruited coming out of high school either. So I had a small opportunity at Western Colorado University, the only college that offered me to go play. And it was an opportunity. So I took it and I tried to make the most of it. I was able to do that. And it led to another opportunity, which was scouts coming to my practices back in college. I was the first person from my school to ever go to the NFL. And, when the draft went through, I absolutely watched it and was crossing my fingers in that 7th round. Maybe I'll get a spot. It didn't come, but I knew I had made an impact enough that there were teams that were interested in me. And so that still gave me confidence that I'll have another opportunity at the NFL level, which ended up having it, and then really immersed myself into that. I think that experience of going from high school to college, I was really fired up about, exploring that opportunity, maximizing it. Same thing from college to the pros was, hey, here's my opportunity. It's not massive. It's not really something that's established, but it's something for me to hopefully grow and turn into something.
It's in the family as well. You got your younger brother Wyatt. Just how big of an impact do you see him making? What's the best advice you could give him?
Yeah, absolutely. For him, it's control what you can control and try to maximize any opportunity that you have. I'm a pretty basic type of guy. I think, you have opportunities in life, and the more you do with it, the more you'll get from that, the more opportunities that will continue to present themselves. And it's not always going to feel like it's fair. I've had many conversations with him, and I go back to the situation of my college or my high school. I had an amazing senior year, had a solid junior year, was like, okay, I'm probably going to get recruited to go D1, get a full ride. Didn't happen. It was kind of a taste of reality. I think it's something that we can all relate to, where you feel like you're putting in so much work, you think you're getting results, and you just think you deserve this big opportunity, but you get something else, and it's maybe not as big as you want, or it's in a different space. And so, that's the same thing Wyatt's going through, my little brother right now, where, hey, maybe you'll get drafted as a 7th-round guy. Well, he had a season where he broke both of his thumbs in his senior year, so it kind of dampened his production his senior year. So he's running into that same reality that I ran into, where you think you did well, you thought you put up some good numbers, but the results, the opportunity is not actually what you thought it was. But it doesn't change the mentality. It doesn't change your process. You continue to push forward. You continue to try to take advantage of whatever you get.
See that guitar next to you. We all
Oh
know
yeah.
your iconic air guitar
Oh yeah.
celebration. Can you tell us the background behind that?
Heck yeah, man. I just love rock music. And it started back in college. There was like two stations up in Gunnison where my college was. There was the Christian station and the rock station. And so I listened to a lot of the rock station and learned a lot of old 70s and 80s rock music and kind of fell in love with it. And ever since then, I just felt like the energy on stage at a rock band is just like so electric. And I described that as probably similar to scoring a touchdown on the NFL field, where it's just all of a sudden it's a big moment of excitement and everyone's fired up. And so like that, just imagine a guitar solo just ripping and everyone just, getting riled up, getting fired up. And so that's where the guitar celebration comes in.
Amazing. Fans love it as well.
Yeah.
Running out of time a little bit, so we'll just wrap up with a little quick fire. Toughest defender you've ever faced?
Toughest defender, ooh, that I've ever faced. Probably who? TJ Watt.
Best running back in the NFL right now?
Saquon. It's not even close, in my opinion.
What was your welcome to the NFL moment?
My welcome to the NFL moment. Ooh, I would probably have to say, ooh, probably in practice, actually. When I was on scout team and in college I was fast enough to get around the edge. And in practice I learned that everyone's pretty fast in the NFL because I was trying to go horizontal to get around the edge, and a defensive lineman was able to run me down, and then I learned really quickly, like, okay, you don't try to go sideways, you got to go vertical, north south, get as much as you can and get down or protect yourself. So that was definitely back in San Diego, my welcome to the NFL moment.
What's your favorite touchdown celebration moment?
Favorite touchdown celebration moment? Probably my second touchdown ever scored, because that's the only time, that's when the guitar celebration actually came out. My first one I ever scored, I didn't even know I was going to get on offense. And I got in. First time they handed me the ball, I scored a touchdown. And so I was just screaming and flexing. But next time I was like, I'm prepared now, and hit the celebration the second time.
Who's the most exciting talent on your team right now and why?
Most excited, I mean, Jayden Daniels, dude is becoming one of the new star quarterbacks of the league, and it's really cool to be a part of that energy.
If you could play any position other than what you're playing, where would you go?
Any other position than what I'm playing? Um, I think quarterback. I think at this point, at year 9, understanding the game so much and kind of how the offense works and defense works, that I feel like I love that challenge of the mental capacity, being challenged while you're at the quarterback position.
Austin, you're the man. All the best. Yeah, fantasy football sounds awesome. Everyone's loving it. And
Yes.
everything else that you do as well. You got so much going on, so it's great to see.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. So one last shout out, if you don't mind, but I would say, yeah, absolutely check out charitydraft.com, and you can see we already have our guys uploaded, and you can join any of the leagues that you'd want, win some awesome prizes, and all the money goes to charity. So it's a great way to give back, but also have some fun during the season.
Awesome. Get involved, guys. You're the man. Austin, cheers.